Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 3. So Module 3 is the end of fiction, and there's a lot going on in this module, so just kind of keep in mind the dates. You'll want to pace yourself through this module. You may want to start on one assignment and then complete another assignment and then finish the first one or something like that. And so just, the module of course is open a few days before the previous one is due, and then you have that time after the weekend to turn everything in late if you need to, but just keep in mind that this one is going to take a lot more work. So the main thing that we're doing here is we got an exam and an essay. Normally I would not put these together, but because we're in a summer semester and we got to do everything basically twice as fast, you're going to be doing both in the same module. So the exam covers fiction. Now there are two parts to the exam. There's the questions that are just true, false, and multiple choice, and those are questions that are pulled from the quiz pools. So some of the questions you'll get will probably be the ones that you've got before for the quizzes. So if you've taken those quizzes multiple times, then you may end up seeing more questions. If you've only taken them once, then you may not see any of the same questions. So just kind of keep that in mind, except this is an exam. And so for the exams, there's a time limit and you can only take it one time. So don't start it until you're ready to finish it. You need to sit down and do it in one whole setting. Do not wait until, 11 o'clock or, 11:45 the night that it closes. So this is available until date. Don't wait until then, because then you'll only have 15 minutes to do it. So make sure that you are using your time wisely. Because this is an online class and we are not using a test proctoring service, it is an open book, open note, open internet type of test, but it does have a time limit. So if you haven't reviewed the information, then it's likely that you won't get all the questions done if you're trying to look up each one. So there's one new chapter that you're looking at. Otherwise, all the rest is stuff that you have looked at before. So under the readings and resources, you can see its theme is the new section, and theme is something that has been discussed kind of throughout these chapters, so it shouldn't be anything new for you, but identifying a work's theme can sometimes be a little bit difficult, because a lot of times students assume that the plot is the same as the theme, and so it's not quite the same thing. The plot can be an intricate part of the theme, but it's not necessarily the theme. So since it's an abstract concept, it makes it a little bit more difficult to identify theme. And so you'll want to look through these pages. Definitely, there are a couple of questions on the exam about theme, but most of what you need to understand about theme is actually for the written portion of the exam, which I'll get to in a minute. And then you also have a section out of the book on reading and writing about literature. And then this student essay here, The Secret Lion, this is an example of the type of essay that you're writing, which is a fiction analysis. So, and I also have a website there for you. So a couple of resources for you about the essay. So the exam part's the part where you're just going to sit down and do the questions. Then you have two written assignments here. The first one is the essay question for the exam. So rather than having you do this in the exam itself, in a timed setting, I have this as a separate assignment, just because that way you have more time to sit down and think about your answer, and you're not just presented with it in the exam. So it makes it a little bit easier, but we still have that written portion that's important for any type of literature class. Writing about literature is really how we can tell whether or not students understand it. So this is just a short couple of paragraphs, not a bulleted list or numbered list. I want you to write it on paragraph form and just tell me, you're going to pick a story that you liked. Most students do their favorite story, and then just tell me, author, title, page number, where it is in the book, and then what you think the main theme is. So looking back at that chapter, that might help you. And then the main fiction elements that you saw and how they kind of connect to that theme, what you liked about the story, how you connected to it, and then a couple of things that you learned about fiction or short story writing. So it's a little bit more personal response. And the reason I do this is because I want to know. I want to know, what did you think about it? And obviously, if you're just going to go on the internet and have an AI generated answer, then I'm going to be able to tell because it's not going to be a personal response. So then you won't get any credit for it. So just keep that in mind. I don't grade that for any type of grammar, unless I absolutely cannot figure out what you're trying to say. These types of writing assignments, I am not expecting you to go through the rigorous, writing, pre-writing, rewriting type of process. I just want to know what you think. However, the second assignment in this module is the kind that I am expecting you to spend more time on, and that is our first essay for the class. So we're writing 2 essays in the class, and then we're going to do a research project, which does not need to be something that's written. So for those of you who do not enjoy writing essays, the last one will not be an essay. But this one is a fiction analysis essay. It's fairly straightforward. And a fiction analysis is just looking at a single work and then analyzing it. So this is where you turn it in, but you'll notice that the criteria is not on this page because I want you to be using the resources in the module. This shows you the grading rubric, how I'm going to break down your grade. And this is one that I do look at grammar, mechanics, formatting, all of that. And you get docked points for having incorrect issues with writing, that kind of thing. And then we also have a major criteria for the whole class that's assessed here. But the criteria of the assignment is here. And basically it's just going to go over what are you expected to do. 5-paragraph essay, so it does not need to be very long. You're going to get maybe 2 pages out of it. And your essay will be about a single work out of the book. So if you want to use the same one that you did for the exam, the essay question, that's fine. You've already written some stuff out for it, so personal response to it, so that might help. If it's your favorite work, some students just pick one that they know will be easy to analyze, and that's fine too. So author and title of the story is the very first sentence. Any analysis that you write always starts with what you're analyzing. We don't need a hook at the beginning. We just need to know what you're analyzing. Your thesis will make an arguable claim connecting the element to the story. So the second thing you have to decide is, once you've picked your story, what are you going to analyze out of it? It needs to be a specific aspect of fiction. A lot of students will do character or theme. Theme is a little bit more broad and allows you to cover more aspects of it. So if you want to do theme, Edgar Allan Poe, obviously a theme in a lot of his stories is death, but just say the Telltale Heart, the theme is connected to the guilt surrounding the character having murdered someone. So then you can cover a bunch of different aspects of the story as they all relate to that specific theme. So if you want to cover, a character and setting and that kind of thing, then you want to make sure that you're thinking about what is the overall point that you're trying to make. Otherwise, you could just analyze the character, or you could just analyze the setting. So you want to pick one element for analysis so that we're not all over the place. You have at least 3 body paragraphs elaborating on that thesis, and then specific examples within the body of your essay. You're not using additional sources for this one. This is not a research paper. It's just your analysis. So you can use you can talk about what you think. You don't need to include first person, so the I pronouns, because you're the one who wrote it, so it's assumed that this is your analysis. You're not retelling the plot, you're analyzing the plot. So that can be a little bit more difficult. There is an example in the textbook for you that you can take a look at. And then the only documentation requirement is that works cited page with the story as your source. And I have an example in the module that you can copy and paste. And then page numbers if you put any direct quotes in there, which I think most of our stories actually are just on one page within the book, since we have the ebook version. So it would just be the same page number over and over again. So this is a works cited example. You just copy and paste it if you want, and then change author's name and title, and then the page number that it's on. So that's pretty easy to do. And then I've got some overview of MLA format, so make sure that you're using that and not APA, which is a lot of students have done before. And then this is just information if you want to use the online writing lab. Our Brain Fuse button is over here. So we use this online tutoring service. And so you'll submit through there, and there's information on how to do that. They do need 48 business hours to respond though, so you would have to get your draft done a little bit earlier. The other thing I have in here is this is completely optional, but if you want to turn in some pre-writing for your essay before the essay is due to get my feedback on it, you're more than welcome to do that. The most helpful thing for me really is an outline or a partial draft, but sometimes students will do kind of like a brainstorm or a cluster map or something if they're kind of at the beginning stage and then they want me to check it. You could do this more than once if you want to. I'll be checking it, but you could also email me if you know you want some feedback a little bit earlier if I don't notice that somebody's submitted here. So that's an option. So if you have any questions, like I said, there's a lot going on in this module. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.